The woman in the photo. It usually starts with a photograph. Not one you took. Not one you remember anyone taking. Just a random picture someone shows you on a phone, in a frame, buried in an old album. And somewhere in that image, often in the background where no one first notices, there she is, a woman. She's never the focus of the photo, never posing, never smiling for the camera. She's always just there, half turned away or standing somewhere she shouldn't be. And the strange thing is, you recognize her. Not like a stranger, like someone important, like someone who's always been in your life. When people first notice her, they usually laugh. Oh, that's weird. Who's that lady in the background? Then someone else says something strange. Wait, don't you remember her? At first, you almost do. Your mind scrambles for memories that feel like they should exist. You feel certain she's familiar, like an aunt, a grandmother, maybe even someone who used to babysit you when you were small. But the harder you try to remember, the more impossible it becomes. No one knows her name. No one remembers meeting her, but everyone feels like they should. The photos start appearing more often after that. One day, she's in the background of a group picture from years ago, standing near a fence that didn't exist back then. Another time, she's in a wedding photo, halfway behind a pillar, watching the bride with an expression that looks almost proud. Then, someone notices something worse. She appears in photos taken decades apart. And she never ages. Sometimes she's far away, just a small figure across a field or standing on the edge of a crowded street. Sometimes she's closer, standing behind a couch during a birthday party, looking through a window behind the photographer. And sometimes, she's standing right next to someone, close enough to touch them. That's when people start to worry, because stories begin to circulate. Someone remembers an uncle who once pointed at the woman in an old photo and said he recognized her from his childhood. A week later, he won the lottery. Another person claims their sister saw the same woman standing behind her in a picture from a beach trip. 2 days later, the sister vanished without a trace. No evidence, no explanation, just gone. People say the woman has been appearing in photographs for over a century. Different countries, different families, always the same face. Dark hair, soft expression, eyes that look at you like she's known you since you were born. The worst stories come from people who swear they've seen her outside the photos, standing across the street, watching from the far end of a park, or sitting quietly on a bench in places where she doesn't belong. When someone approaches her, she usually disappears before they get close. But sometimes she doesn't. And if she ever reaches out and touches someone, no one can predict what happens next. Some people suddenly find their lives filled with unbelievable luck. Others fall into tragedy almost immediately. And a few simply vanish. The creepiest part of all, if you start noticing her in photos, it means she's already been watching you for years. So the next time you look through an old family album, take a moment to scan the background. Look at the windows, the distant corners of the room, the edges of the frame. Because if you see a woman staring calmly toward the camera, someone you feel like you've always known, someone you can't quite remember meeting, don't stare too long. And whatever you do, pray she never decides to step out of the photograph.